what's up you guys? It's your girl Judy here with my Life as Kikay and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a step-by-step makeup tutorial for absolute beginners. I'm going to take you through with me on how I did this everyday makeup look, and although I know red lips is not much of an everyday look, you can always change out the color for whatever color you want. So without further ado, please subscribe and let's get into this video. I know I look a little bit crazy right now, but seriously, who doesn't before you've gotten ready? So the first step is always make sure that you've washed your face, because if you apply makeup to a dirty face, then it's almost like sealing in the dirt between your skin and the makeup, which will then contribute to breakouts or pimples or even inflammation. So yeah, make sure you wash your face. The second step is to use moisturizer or primer. Now if you're an absolute beginner, chances are you won't have a primer, so moisturizer will work just as well. It'll still provide a base for your skin for the makeup to apply on top of. But if you did want to look for a good drugstore primer, then here are some options for you to consider. This one is the e.l.f. Poreless Face Primer. You can pick this up at Kmart or even on their website. Here we have the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Face Primer. This one's an OG, NYX Angel Veil. This one is a lot more illuminating and would suit those of you who have a drier skin type. And here we have the L'Oreal Infallible Mattifying Base. This would be suitable for those of you who have an oilier skin type. But like I said before, if you don't have a primer yet, then just use moisturizer. That will work just as well, and that is what I personally tend to use more on an everyday basis. For moisturizing, I have been using the Ofra Cosmetics Vitamin C Cream, which I have found to be really working out for me. So that's what I'm going to be using today. But you can use any moisturizer that works for you. Just really working that into the skin in upward and outward motions. And as you can see, I look a little bit shiny and hydrated. That's what you want to see. The next step would be either foundation or CC cream. I don't personally use CC cream, so I don't have one to show you today. But the difference between foundation and CC cream is that CC cream will give you more of a natural finish, like your skin but better type of look. It's more to just even out your skin tone rather than provide a full new skin, which is what foundation will do for you. I personally like to use foundation because it gives me more coverage that'll cover up my pimple scars and burn marks, because if you don't know, I also used to work as a chef in the kitchen, so inevitably I got oil splatter marks. Like, probably can't see it, but I have them. So I use a foundation to give me more coverage. Now a tip when you're buying foundation or CC cream or a tinted moisturizer is to always match the shade to your neck or lower jawline, not your arm or décolletage. And you don't want your face and your body to be different lightnesses or even shades, because different foundations, different formulas might even have different undertones. So when you go to buy a foundation or a CC cream, always be sure to get color matched. Now as far as applying foundation goes, there are so many different ways and techniques to apply it. Some people use brushes or beauty sponges, but if you've clicked on this video, chances are you don't have all those fancy things, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you probably own some things that look a little bit more like these. And that's okay. You can still apply makeup with those. I know, because that's what I started out with. The one thing that I didn't know when I started out with makeup was that before using these, make sure that they're damp. Run them under a tap and squeeze them out till they're just a little bit damp. This will help your foundation or CC cream, whatever you're using. When you get a bit more confident in your makeup game, maybe then you can invest in a makeup sponge or some brushes. Some good ones that you could buy, you could go to Target and buy the Chi Chi makeup sponges, which is what I have been using recently. Go to Priceline, buy a Real Techniques beauty blender, or go to Target and buy a Revlon foundation brush. As far as application goes, there are so many different techniques out there. Some people like to apply it to their hands. Some people like to put it on a little makeup plate. It's really your choice, but I personally like to apply it to my finger and dot it all over my face. I then take my beauty sponge and lightly pat, working it into the skin. I like to start from the inwards of the face, going out. If you find you're wanting more coverage than just the first layer, a trick is to build up the coverage rather than slap all the foundation all at once into your face and then blend it out. Building up the foundation will not only help the longevity, but like painting a wall, applying it in layers will help each layer to dry in between and not look cakey. I'm going to add another layer here just for a little bit more coverage. Always make sure you're patting and blending. Don't drag your makeup around, because not only will it then move it around instead of placing it onto the skin, but over time that technique will cause you wrinkles and make your face sag, and nobody wants that. Patting in the foundation will also give you a more natural and smooth finish. Be sure to get in all the corners around the nose or around the eyes, and always around the jawline, because you don't want your foundation to stop. And if there's even a little bit of variance between your skin color and your foundation shade, it'll show. So you need to always blend your foundation down your neck. Next, I'll go in with concealer. I don't always use concealer, but if on days where I feel like I have a little bit of extra darkness or bags under my eyes, then I'll utilize the wonderful world of concealer. If you don't know what concealer is and all you've seen about it is all those Instagram videos where you apply it in your T-zone and up here and in your chin and your jawline, you really don't need to do all of that. If anything, that'll just cause your makeup to look even more cakey. You really only need to use it under your eyes or even in the places where you feel you need that little bit of extra coverage. When buying a concealer, choose a shade that's a little bit lighter than your foundation or even a couple shades lighter, but not so light that it looks crazy when you've applied it, but light enough that the concealer acts as a highlight, adding dimension to your face. I use the Maybelline Master Concealer and I got mine from Chemist Warehouse. So like the foundation, I just take a little bit on my finger and I just apply it underneath the eye, like a little triangle. I'll apply a little bit to the bridge of my nose, and that's about it. Again, using the same sponge, I pat it just in the same spot where I've applied it, not dragging or smearing. I just pat it. I just pat it in the same spot where I applied it. I go from inner corner to out. And just keep patting and blending until you can't see the lines of where you applied it. Almost like a gradient effect, so it's like a smooth transition. Number one rule in applying makeup is just blend. Keep blending. If you're not sure, just keep blending. As soon as you put on your concealer, you're gonna wanna set it with a powder to keep it from creasing. You could use a loose powder or a pressed powder, whatever you've got, whatever works for you. They all pretty much work the same. I like to use the Rimmel Stay Matte powder, but Maybelline has a good mattifying powder that you could use as well. And sometimes I even use the BYS Contour Trio, which has contour powder in it, but I use that powder in the middle. It looks a little bit dirty, but that's just because I use it a lot. So what you're gonna do is go in with your brush and load it up and tap off the excess and lightly dab under your eyes where you applied that concealer. This step of applying powder will keep your concealer from creasing and extend the longevity of it throughout the day. With applying powder, you can use a brush or a beauty sponge. But as you get more comfortable in your makeup routine, you'll find which one works better for you and just go with that. Now the next step for most people would be eyebrows. Now if you're like me, where you're well endowed with bushy eyebrows, then you might not even need this step. But for those of you who want a little bit something extra, I'm going to quickly show you how I redefine mine. Now there are different products you could use. There's pencil, there's powder, there's gel, or even a dip brow pomade. And I would show you these products, but I don't personally have them because again, I don't have to fill in my brows very often. But when I do, I use a spoolie and a brow brush. And a brow brush looks a little bit like this. Now how I fill in my brows is I just take an eyebrow brush and dip it into any powder that you have that matches your eyebrow shade. And I'm talking about any powder. You don't have to have eyebrow products. If you have an eyeshadow palette that has a brown shade or a redder shade or any shade that matches your brow shade,
how many times can I say shade?
Then use that. I personally have this eyeshadow palette from Morphe that has this brown that goes perfectly with my eyebrows. So I'm just gonna use that. First I brush out my brows with the spoolie. Then I go in with that brown shade, tap off the excess, and just follow my natural brow line. I'm gonna zoom you in so you can see exactly what I'm doing. So I'm just following my natural brow line here and just redefining the shape. I'm not gonna go too crazy. So I'm just filling them in, following the natural brow line, not going too crazy. And again, just brushing that color through. And sometimes that's all you need. For absolute beginners, just use an eyebrow pencil. I have one here from L'Oreal where they have the pencil on one side and the spoolie on the other. So this would be perfect for absolute beginners. If you don't want to fill in your brows, you have fuller brows like mine, you could even go in with the tinted brow gel. I know Rimmel, Revlon, L'Oreal, Maybelline, they all have tinted brow gels in their range. You could find one and just use that. At this point, I like to use bronzer. When you go to the store to pick up bronzer, always make sure that you get one that's not too dark for you or doesn't show up too red. Otherwise, it'll end up just making your skin look muddy and dirty. I personally use the BYS Face and Body Bronzer. Rimmel has one that's similar to this. I think it's called Sunkissed, and it looks almost exactly the same. Or the BYS Contour Trio, which has a bronzer and the contour in this one as well. I'm just gonna go in with the bronzer. Just grab a larger fluffy brush. This one is the Morphe E4, and I use it so much that it's just completely broken, but it still works. So you can find some really good ones from Target. Or Chemist Warehouse. Just find one that fits right under here between your cheek and your jaw, and not so big that it fluffs the product everywhere and blending it out in places that you don't want, and it'll just end up making your face look muddy or dirty. So I'm just gonna take my brush into the product, pick up a bit, and tap off the excess. And when you're applying bronzer, and just like any other product, remember, build it up, not slap it on. If you want to know where to apply your bronzer, a good trick is to feel where your cheekbone is. For me, it's right here. And just start blending out slightly below that. So you start from just beside your ear here. And what you want to do is just create that shadow where you want that chiseled cheekbone to be. Then when you've used up most of the product on your brush, I would then just slowly build it up the side of the face. And if you have a bigger forehead like mine, just up into your hairline. Don't forget under the jawline. This will give you more shadow, and if you're like me, help give less of an illusion of a double chin. Always blend down the neck as well. As you can see, bronzer gives your face structure and depth, making your face look slimmer and dimensional, and giving you that glowy, healthy, sun-kissed look. From here, I would go on to mascara. I know there's a lot of different kinds of mascaras out there, and it's almost overwhelming to try and find one that works for you. And it's hard to recommend one because different shaped applicators work differently for different people's eyes. How many times can I say differently? But that's the point. Everyone is different, and different products will work differently for you because of all the eye shapes, lash lengths, applicator shapes, etc. You just gotta try and find one that works for you. When I was starting out in makeup, personally, trial and error was how I found one that worked for me. If it's any help, this is the size and shape of applicator that I found myself gravitating towards. Again, I know there are so many different types of applicators and formulas out there, but just pick one up and try it. And if it doesn't work, try another. Usually at the stores, you'll find that they all have testers for the different products that they have. So if the first one that didn't work for you had a certain shape and type of applicator, the next one that you buy, check the testers, and if it has the same one, don't try that one. Try something else that has something different. But as far as which mascaras I would recommend, one of them would be the L'Oreal Lash Paradise or the L'Oreal Telescopic Mascaras. They both have vastly different applicators, as you can see. So if one doesn't work for you, chances are the other one will. And the formulas on both are actually really good, lengthening, lasting, and they don't crumble off towards the end of the day. So I'm gonna zoom in and show you how I apply my mascara. So what you wanna do is sit the wand under there and just blink into the applicator. Or if that doesn't work for you because of your eye shape, sit your mascara at the base and wiggle upwards. And same as the bottom lash. Sit it at the base and wiggle downwards. For an absolute beginner, this might take some practice, and that's okay. As you can see, I still smudge my lid, and so don't feel too discouraged because I find that mascara was the step that I struggled a lot with at first. A tip is, if you smudge your mascara, don't swipe it off straight away. I know it's tempting, but wait for it to dry and then flake it off with either your finger or a cotton bud. If you want more impact in your lashes, wait for it to dry and apply another layer. And there you go. Now the last two steps that I do would be either blush or highlight. You don't have to do highlight, I just like to do that, but I found that it gives you a really healthy, beautiful glow, and it really just finishes off your look. So I personally like to go in with a sponge. I just lightly dab in the highlighter and focus it on the absolute high points of your face. So just lightly dab, again, Build it up, don't slap it on. The high points of your face would be at your cheekbones, the bridge of your nose, and your upper lip. I know it's looking a little bit crazy on the lip right now, but once you apply your lipstick, it'll be fine. I even like to go in with a little bit on my finger and apply it directly under the eyebrow. Sometimes I go in first with a sponge and then blend out the edges with a brush. The highlight that I've been absolutely loving recently is the Maybelline Master Chrome. This is just so beautiful. It's not chunky or glittery. It just applies beautifully and gives a nice highlighted sheen to your face. There are also lots of other highlighters that you can find at the drugstore. You don't have to go out and spend hundreds of dollars on a highlighter. The market is so vast at the moment, you can find a really good affordable one. I'm also planning on filming a video where I show you my affordable highlighter collection. If you want to see that, give this video a thumbs up, and I will definitely film that for you guys. Now, if you're running late like me, I would generally tend to skip blush, but I can quickly apply that. So what you want to do is go in with a fluffy blending brush and like the bronzer and lightly dust it off. You're going to want to apply it only to the apples of your cheeks, which is just almost directly under your eye, and don't deviate very far away from that or you'll end up looking like a clown. Just use it to give yourself a little bit of a rosy glow. This one I'm using is the Maybelline. It's called a highlighting blush, but it's not really a highlight, it's more of a blush. If you also want to find some really good blushes that are really affordable, good ones for you to check would be the Essence Silky Touch blushes, and these ones are so good, and I think at Target they're only like $3 or $4 each. Now, when it comes to applying lipstick, you might not want to start off straight away with a really bright color, but if you do, go for it. Just try it. Today, because I've kept my overall look so simple, I'm going to use a little bit of a darker lipstick, but I feel like using a more contrasting lipstick today will also help you see exactly how I apply it. So first thing, I'm going to go in with a lip liner. Again, like mascara, this is one of those things that you're going to want to practice. There will be trial and error. Some days you might end up looking like a clown, but hey, it's just makeup. I'm using the Rimmel Exaggerate lip liner, and just take your time. Once I've lined my lips, I'm going to go in with a lipstick. Again, use whatever lipstick works for you. I'm going to go in with the Ofra Cosmetics Long Lasting Liquid Lipstick. I find that the applicator on this is really easy to use. Start with the middle of your lips, and then when you go to the edges, just take your time. Do it slowly and follow the natural shape of your lips. So when applying lipstick, obviously there's the two ways that you could do it. There's the liquid lipstick, which I personally like to use. Depending on the formula that you get, these ones tend to last a whole lot longer throughout the day and can withstand eating, drinking, the usual wear and tear of lipstick. But if you're an absolute beginner, obviously you'd be a lot more accustomed to the more traditional bullet shape type of lipstick. So if you're using the bullet shaped lipstick, the application still applies. Just apply it within the natural line of your lips. Take your time and just get used to it. So yeah, that's it for lips. Now, if you want your makeup to last all day, finish it off with a setting spray. Again, you'll find some good ones at the drugstore. The BYS Natural Finishing Spray is a good one, or NYX has some matte finishing spray, natural finishing sprays. Today I'm going to use the BYS Natural Finishing Spray. Oh gosh, my hair was a hot mess before. So yeah, this is the finished look. Because I was filming and explaining step by step, it took me a little while, but normally for me, this kind of look would really take just under 10 minutes. This is the kind of makeup that I would say is a great base and a great foundation for any further look that you might want to build upon. For example, if you wanted a glam look, you could build on this and just add some eyeshadow, add some eyeliner, add a little bit more of a contour, but that's for later on. For now, this is a really good everyday sort of look that you can wear to the grocery store, wear to work, wear to school. See, I really like to wear this type of a look when I'm just going out for some groceries or running down the road to pick up the mail and I don't want to leave the house without makeup on, because as you saw before, I have pimples and discoloration and I just want to look good whenever I leave the house. And I really like how just that simple application of bronzer and highlight and some bright lipstick really just picked up my look and made me feel 100 times better about myself. So yeah, that's my tutorial on makeup for beginners. I hope this step-by-step application was helpful to you guys and a good stepping stone towards other further advanced makeup looks and techniques that you might want to look into in the future. If you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye. I just spilled black eyeshadow all over my dress. This is why I shouldn't film getting ready. I should go now, actually. Just give me 5 minutes, I'll finish it off.